Welcome students. Today we are going to start the second part of the grammar lesson number 13, phrases and clauses. Well, before we move on, let's have a quick recap. What is a phrase? A phrase is a group of words that make sense but not complete sense. A phrase may consist of one word or more than one word. Whereas, what is a clause? A clause is a group of words that forms part of a sentence and has a subject and a finite verb of its own. Now, students, in the second part, we are going to learn about the difference between a main clause and a subordinate clause. What is a main clause? A main clause is a clause that can stand on its own. It is also known as principal clause. And what is a subordinate clause? A clause that cannot stand on its own. It is also known as dependent clause. Well, take for example, our body gets its energy from food. This sentence has one subject, our body, and one finite verb, gets. It also conveys complete meaning and can stand on its own. So it is a main or principal clause. Now take a second example. The body breaks down the food that we eat to produce energy. This sentence consists of two clauses. The body breaks down the food to produce energy, can stand on its own. Hence, it's a principal clause. Whereas that we eat cannot stand on its own. Hence, it is a subordinate clause. Well, children, now we are going to learn about the three kinds of clauses: noun clause, adjective clause, and adverb clause. What is a noun clause? A subordinate clause that acts as a noun in a sentence is called a noun clause. Let's take an example. The teacher asked me if I had any problems. If I had any problems is the noun clause in this sentence. One more example we can take. Give him what he wants. In this sentence, where is the noun clause? What he wants is the noun clause here. Second comes adjective clauses. A subordinate clause that acts as an adjective in a sentence is called an adjective clause. It is also known as relative clause. Let's take some examples. Never speak an unkind word that might hurt others. That might hurt others is the adjective clause in this sentence. One more example we can take, children. I have read almost all the books you see on my shelf. Where is the adjective clause in this sentence? Yes, you see on my shelf is the adjective clause. Now, adjective clauses are usually introduced by relative pronouns like who, whose, whom, which, or that. Relative adverbs when and where. Sometimes relative pronoun adverb is omitted in a sentence. which has adjective clause. Now third one is adverb clauses. What is an adverb clause, students? A subordinate clause that performs the function of an adverb in a sentence is called an adverb clause. Let's look at some of the examples. It is useless to argue since the decision has already been taken. Since the decision has already been taken is the adverb clause in this sentence. Second example. Manan kept walking until he reached the main crossing. Until he reached the main crossing is the adverb clause in this sentence. Well, students, adverb clauses are introduced by when, while, before, after, since, as soon as, where, wherever, because, as, since, to show time, place and reason. And to show effect we can use so that. To show purpose also we can use so that. If, unless, provided that to show condition, although, even if, even though can be used to show contrast, as if we can use to show manner, and then, as so and so as to show comparison. Well, students, here we come to an end of this lesson, phrases and clauses. You should go through the whole chapter thoroughly and watch the videos carefully, repeatedly if required. And of course, the informations, the notes which are given in the PDF files, you should read them thoroughly. Thank you, children.